Hi, my name is Garrett Christopher. This is my YouTube channel, Garrett's Take. I've got two more channels. There's Garrett's Sports Take and Garrett's Movie Take. I just finished my Garrett Sports Take, and it's a special edition rant on the Miami Dolphins and the fact that someone's getting fired. They're 1-5. They lost this morning to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who had been winless until they played the Dolphins. What can you do? Rant. That's what I did. In any case, I'm a self-published author. I've got a few books out there and a sci-fi series, part one, The Takeover, it's titled, coming out here pretty soon, next couple of weeks, in fact. In fact, the ebook is actually available right now, but I'm finishing up the audiobook and then waiting for verification on the paperback before I can release that one. So it's getting close. I'm very excited. Please visit my website, and you'll also see I have a podcast available on Soundcloud and Spotify. And what else is there? I forget. So recently I've been talking about homelessness, right? And talking about how I've been not so proactive. By the way, I had a conversation about a week and a half ago with someone at the city again, and we are supposed to be scheduling a ride along. I guess they do them during the day only. I have a job, a full-time job, and so I'm only available so much during the week. They don't do weekends. So I'm hoping to get a call in the next week, 2 weeks or so, and do a ride along. My goal with that is to talk to the people who are actually out there in the trenches, at the front lines, talking to people, get their points of view, and maybe even talk to some people that are homeless that are out there, right? And that's what the ride-alongs are about, to kind of learn about that and to talk to people and try and get them to come in. The young man that I spoke with was very much in agreement with me, the fact that it's a mental thing. It's not so much the fact that you're hungry. It's not so much the fact that you're sleeping outside. It's a mental thing as far as where you are mentally, right? And I talked about that. Please, if you have not seen the other kind of talks I've had, on this subject over the last few weeks, please look into them. They're not a lot of fun. I had anticipated that this particular channel, Garrett's Take, was going to be kind of like, almost like Seinfeld episodes. Well, it's like this really odd thing, and you kind of turn it into a funny, frivolous type of talk and discussion. It hasn't turned into that because right now, one of my passions is trying to help my community with the homelessness situation. And that's where I am with that. So truthfully, the ball is in the city's court. And if I don't hear anything back in the next week, then I'll touch base with them to try and get in there to do some stuff. You know what I mean? In any case, but as an aside, and I have kind of, as I've not been proactive in doing anything with this, with my passion, I've been talking about some stuff that I'm going through personally and likening it to the mental state of someone who perhaps has gotten to that point, right? So last couple of days, I'm thinking about stuff, and I've thought about this a lot in my lifetime, right? And please, this is a pretty serious subject, and let me preface everything I'm about to say by saying this: life is worth it. Life is worth it. Okay, life is tough. There's no doubt about it. And my mantra is, it's always something, right? But life is worth it. For those times where you catch that smile, you get that hug, you get that promotion, you get that special meal, you get that handshake, that act of kindness, whatever it is, life is worth it. I'm prefacing this by saying that, okay? But there are times when I wonder, is life worth it? And why do we press on? Now, I'm probably not the best person to talk about or to kind of cover this subject because I'm kind of a negative thinker. I think I always have been since I was little. If there's a situation, whether it be in sports, whether it be in life, relationships, whatever, I think, and I tend to move toward the glass half empty scenario, not the glass half full. Have I tried to work on that? A little bit, but I think I've just accepted it. And to be very honest, at this point in my life, I actually kind of, how can I put it? I'm okay kind of stirring the pot a little bit and either in my head or even muttering to myself, kind of, how can I put it, promoting that mindset that, here we go again type of thing, blah, blah, blah. And it can be irritating being around me when I'm like that, no doubt about it. And I can be positive. It's not like I'm just all the time, this kind of a thing. But when the rubber hits the road, when something comes up, that's kind of where I've placed my magnet, and that's where my mindset, my body, everything, my soul kind of lends toward that direction. So I'm probably not the best person to talk about this. However, there are others like me, I think. So I guess I'm speaking to you a little bit. And maybe you're not like this all the time, but there are times when you do feel this way. So I'm talking to you, right? And again, this is just an effort. This is definitely a self help type of thing for me personally. I'm a person who needs to talk things out, even though I want to clam up when things are going a certain way in whatever situation. But I am someone that needs to talk it out. My eldest, my son Taylor, same way, and same thing like me, very stubborn. Doesn't want to talk to anyone about it, right? Even when someone is offering, someone who loves him is offering to talk about it, doesn't want to cover it. But it's like you've got this ball of yarn all tangled, and there's no way you can get it unraveled unless you kind of talk it out. You can't do it yourself, right? And I'm like that. He's like that. Taylor, if you ever watch this, please, we've talked about this before. You got to talk to someone. It's important. It's very important. Um, but sometimes I just don't feel that life is worth it. And not that I'm suicidal. That's not the point. But what causes us to not give up? What causes us to continue on? And I can take that statement and work it from actually jogging in the morning, right? Getting up super early and working out, that extra push-up, that extra year in school, striving toward this particular grade, this test, whatever, the job, the promotion, all these different scenarios and situations, the successful marriage, the parenting, whatever the case may be. There are some that give up. There are some that give up before they get to a certain point. There are some that, for the most part, never give up regardless of the situation. Is it upbringing? Is it just innate? Just your own, right? Self? So let me tell you about myself a little bit, and maybe we can come up with a determination, at least the semblance of one. So the household I grew up in was very, very stable. I was not physically or mentally abused. My father left when I was 16. But by that time, I was pretty much into my own self. Very selfish. I'm a very selfish person. And that kind of came up. That is innate because that came up from way back when. Selfish and, can you put it? I want to say celoso, that's Spanish. But yeah, just very selfish and jealous and this kind of thing. And that no one gave me that. It wasn't like I watched a parent or a friend or an aunt or an uncle. That was me. That was all me. So that was innate for sure. But yeah, good childhood. My brother, who's 7 years younger, he was only 9 when Dad left. So that's a different story for him. Different. Very, very different. For me, I was already self-involved, right? What I had going on. So that wasn't an issue. Education-wise, I like to read. I like to study. I got pretty good grades in school and was able to go to college and all this kind of a thing. And so that was fine. And when I think back at my childhood, it was good. It was a good childhood. I think because I was good and self-motivated in a lot of areas, I played sports. And blah, blah, not very good, but I was okay. The parents left me alone. Didn't push on me. Neither one of them at the time was a college graduate. My mother since then has done a lot of higher education learning. But so there wasn't a press on that. And then when it was time for me to get and start choosing colleges, Dad was gone and Mom was in her, a thing mind-wise, the husband leaves and now what do you do? Trying to put her life back together, whatever like that. So no fault there. But I got into college, right? But the striving and I think the self-respect and the push to be a certain person, to get to a certain spot, wasn't there within me. And there was no one to kind of push and prod me to get to that point. So is that a detriment? Possibly. But again, I think you have to look at yourself, right, in the mirror and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what I got going on. And yeah, the family comes into play. In my family that was there as far as grandparents, aunts, uncles, that kind of thing, few of them were college graduates. So the kind of like, how can you put it, the discussions and the talks was about being fun-loving and appreciative and respectful and all that, which is very, very important, right? Very, very important. Just as important as the book stuff, but maybe some balance of, hey, what are you doing here? Let's make sure you do this, you should do that type of thing would have helped out as far as that's concerned. Where am I going with that? I have no idea. Where I'm going with that is that that's one side as far as like pushing yourself and achieving and striving, right? Sports wise, I could have probably played some baseball in college, but didn't work toward that, right? And for the most part, no one was really there, a coach, what have you, to kind of glean what I had going on and push me toward that. Okay, so be it. Maybe I just wasn't good enough for someone to feel like, hey, I can put some time into this kid and perhaps he can get to play, Division two somewhere or whatever in baseball, whatever like that. That didn't happen, right? So I've kind of been left alone by teachers, by family, by friends. Hey, this is what you do. I was also protected by a number of friends who were at the time smoking weed, drinking like that. They were like maybe a year or two older than me. So when I was growing up, like in junior high and high school, they didn't want me around. Garrett, nope, sorry. We'll hang out until whatever time. Now we're going to go over here and do our thing. You go on home for whatever reason, protected from all of that. And to this day, I had no interest in those particular things. Maybe I should smoke a joint every once in a while just to calm down. But in any case, I don't know what I would do. Hi. Anyway, so so all of that. Okay. So coming full circle here. So I guess part of it is I want to be able to look at myself, kind of figure out why I am who I am, and then what can I do to better my situation? What can I do to get from is life really worth it to yes, life is worth it. But when you're in the middle of something, that's probably the last thing you want to do, right? So this talk is for the person who is not the overachiever. This talk is for the person who is a negative thinker at times. This talk is for a person who maybe don't always feel supported, although you probably have tons of support, but don't feel supported. This talk is for a person who maybe is so self-indulged that you don't know that someone's there trying to help you because you want to do it on your own. I've made terrible financial decisions because I wanted to do it on my own instead of pulling from someone who knew what they were talking about, bosses and friends who had been through, and no, Garrett wants to do it on his own. Frank Sinatra, I'll do it my way. Well, my way hasn't always worked so well. So when you want to give up, what do you do at that moment? What do you do? For me, the one thing that's always helped, it's not immediate, and it's almost like you can't feel it, but over time, and I've learned in the last month or so, this more than at any other time, you got to talk. You've got to talk to someone, and you don't have to talk to someone that you know real well either. In fact, sometimes that could be a detriment because they know you already. They already know what you're going to say. They know you from the past, and so there's no surprises there. And sometimes you don't get a new and fresh angle on something. And sometimes listening to someone else talk about their situation and just kind of be appreciative that you're listening to them and that you're willing to share with them creates a positive vibe. Or sometimes with family, I've heard this again. Trust me, if I go to family or friends about my situation, they're like, yeah, bro, because you're a negative thinker and you're a pain in the butt and you can be such a jerk sometimes. I really want to hear it. That doesn't fester the kind of like the not need, but that doesn't fester a willingness to try and talk more about whatever the situation, right? So maybe it's talking to some people that don't know you so well and just chatting, just talking, just putting it out there. So maybe my kind of direction when this homeless thing kind of gets off the tarmac and starts, sprouting some wings there, will be just to talk to someone. Forget the end game. Forget them trying to get you here or there. Forget any of that. To garner trust with someone, talk to them. Find out where they are. And you hear that adage all the time as far as you walk, was it a mile in someone's shoes and that kind of a thing. It's true. You don't know what they're going through. When someone comes into my job and they're grumpy and I get grumpy right away, right back at them, I got to think about the fact that what is this person going through? What have they gone through? And maybe it's not even related to what they're doing there at my profession, but something beyond that. Who knows, right? So sometimes it's just a matter of, I think that even for those of us who think that we can just internalize everything, own everything, take it in, um, communication is very, very important. Some would say communication is the key. I had a boss that I worked for in a restaurant chain way back when. He used to say that very thing: communication is the key, and that was his mantra. Right? It's important, and it's a mantra you can use in a lot of different areas of your life. Um, so, when you feel like life isn't worth it, and I felt like that a number of times in my life, communication is the key. Talk to someone, chat with someone, tell a joke, get outside of yourself, let them talk a little bit. Listen up. We've got two ears and one mouth. Um, and I think that people will, strangers or family will show appreciation for that communication, for that talk, whether it be through text, whether it be through phone, whether it be in person, whatever. I think it's important to, instead of facing the corner of the wall, to turn around, get away from the wall, and invite people to talk. That's not an easy thing for me. I generally have no problem being somewhere by myself, doing my own thing, being in, whatever zone. Um, but sometimes a smile from someone else, um, a kind word. If you're in a restaurant, the fact that someone offers you another soda, a refill on your soda, um, yeah, kindness goes a long way. Another adage, right? Communication is the key. All these things. I have no idea what this talk is about, to be very honest, but it's going to help someone someday because it's helped me already. My name is Garrett Christopher, and this Garrett's Take, I'm not sure what I'm going to call it. If it was my sports take, I'd call it a rant because it was kind of just a calm, nice rant. But yeah, it'll help someone maybe someday, I hope. Hey, take care of yourself. Please check out my website, GarrettChristopher.com, and have a great day. I'm going to try, so I need you to try too. Take care.